Shinomiya!
Hello, Matthew.
Are you feeling good?
I am feeling good. It's morning. I see blue sky in Portland, Oregon. What else can you ask for?
There we go. Now, we should have come back to you earlier, our roving reporter. It's been months and months and months, and it was the beginning of the crazy summer. So we see you as our woman on the ground, just experiencing stuff. So, what stuff is happening down there?
Wow. So when I talked to you last April, I was, tentative. We were wondering what the pandemic was going to do, and et cetera, et cetera. And now we are getting angry. And there's a lot that has happened. A lot of water has passed under the bridge. And we had of course, George Floyd happened. And it was interesting because that, in addition to the economic crisis and people being concerned about whether they have a job or not, or whether they're going to get unemployment payments or not, or a stimulus check or not. And then this understanding that the kind of the racist structures that are in our environment, and how to what kind of a role can I take to help dismantle that, etc. And there were a lot of protests that had been going on. First, there was some of the far right, or people who were protesting against wearing masks. There wasn't nearly as much of that in the Northwest as there have been in other parts of the country. But people were like, kind of, that doesn't seem very compassionate. That doesn't seem very caring. And then George Floyd incident happened, and we all saw the video. And in that video, he called out for his mama. And there had been the Black Lives Matter protests kind of ongoing for about a month or so. And there were a lot of women, especially women from the suburbs, moms from the suburbs, who kind of woke up and said, well, hey, maybe I can do something. Maybe I can go down there. And a woman who was actually, her ancestry is from India, South Asia. And she said, okay, well, I'll just get some of my friends together and we'll go down and we'll let everybody wear a yellow shirt. And let's just be moms who are going to stand up for our Black sisters. And they did. And one of the things that they said, they had a quote from Hamilton, which was, and tomorrow there'll be more of us. And sure enough, they started coming, including my friends who were down there. And I had got myself invited to the Wall of Moms Facebook
Wall of
page to
Mums, yeah.
find out. Yeah, the Wall of Moms. And there was a lot of live streaming of what was really going on down there. And they kind of went with this faith in the system, that we have the right to protest, we have the right to express our view, which is that police brutality is wrong, and we want to stand up against it. And they were met with, in the middle of the night, these people dressed in camouflage, sent from the federal government, who were not identifiable by their garb, who were very well funded and heavily resourced and heavily armed, who started tear gassing them and shooting rubber bullets directly at them.
Yes,
That's not what you're
that's
supposed to
not the
do with
correct
those
use of
those
rubber
bullets.
bullets. Yes.
And pushing them, and in many cases actually hitting them. And at the first night, they didn't really have the bike helmets. They started learning from the Black Lives Matter protesters who were behind them. Said, okay, you got tear gas, and then they had remedies to get through that. And they started showing up, more women started showing up, and they were singing lullabies, which was interesting. Don't shoot, please don't shoot. And turning it into something that was very kind of heartfelt and sensitive to, and knowing that, as white women, we have this privilege that people who have a different skin tone would not have, but still
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
tear
yeah.
gassed, and having no special rights that didn't afford us anything differently. And then having, hearing it being accused of, they're not really white suburban moms, they are Antifa, they are far left extremists, they are terrorists. And they're thinking, no, we're down here, we're protesting, we're not even spray painting anything. We are just here to express our disgust with, excessive use of force, being met with excessive use of force. So then the dads decided to come down and help out a little bit with their leaf blowers, because leaf blowers are an effective tool to blow away the tear
Oh,
gas.
okay,
And
okay.
And I went down there somewhere in this, just during the day, just to see what things, is my city on fire? It's not on fire during the day. It's perfectly normal. The protests, you see these nice people with their peace signs, literally something out of the 60s, and different languages and different groups of people who are very in kind of in the moment and joined together and expressing their unity and painting incredibly beautiful murals on the plywood that had boarded up, for example, the Apple store downtown, which is, the symbol of capitalism. They had boarded that up for COVID, not necessarily because of the protests, but the murals that have come up are just works of art. So you feel the kind of the vibe and so on. And then at night, there are these protests and then more tear gas. And then the next night and the next night, and then the wall of the veterans who came in to stand up
Yes,
for the
yeah.
Constitution, and a lot of joined by a lot of people, and again met with excessive use of force.
Unbelievable.
So it's like, depending on how you are dissecting it and how you are viewing it and what stream of
Yeah, yeah.
news you are, what lens you're seeing it through, you're getting a different story. And I think that there's a movement. The Wall of Moms has realized that it cannot be run by white women. It is
Yep,
now
yep, yep.
been turned over to the leadership of Black women, and kind of under the guise of, under the umbrella of Black Lives Matter, but also Stand Up, Don't Shoot. And it has evolved into something completely different as an international movement. And then recently, of course, we can get into some of the politics of it, but I'm finding there are other offshoots of this where, and I think you and I were talking beforehand about what is this role of the suburban woman in the
Yep, yep, yep.
US.
And also, I mean, didn't the mayor get involved?
Oh, the mayor got involved. Yes, absolutely. And the mayor, so this Ted Wheeler, who has been a bit of a controversial figure himself, because in the early days of the protest, he was considered the one responsible who gave the go ahead for the Portland police, not the federal people. They came in later. The Portland police to use tear gas, to
But
use,
probably under some
whatever
pressure,
weaponry
I
they had.
guess.
And it was understood that he was kind of complicit in that in some way. And we have this commissioner, Ms. Hardesty, and she's a Black woman. She's like the only Black councilwoman. And she kind of went in and said, look, why don't you just let me take over the police commission, and I will guide this. And of course, there was a little bit of a political battle between those two. And in that, so Ted Wheeler, the mayor, is trying to say, okay, I am committed to this. I certainly want to stand up for Black Lives Matter in some way. So he said, okay, I'm going to come down and listen to to everybody. And he came down and listened to the protests, and they actually got him up on the stage, and he said something. And then, of course, he happened to be there long enough for the federal agents who were coming out at night, and he got tear gassed just like everybody else. And whether you saw that as a sign of, okay, he's with the movement, or, oh no, he's part of the far left, or he shouldn't have been there, there are so many different ways to look at it. But we have become this flashpoint in Portland of kind of all that is happening. The whipping boy of the leadership in
The
Washington,
barometer.
D.C.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't, there's no pretense that Portland is going to, suddenly become a bastion of conservatism and
A
support for
hotbed
that
either way.
administration.